Hey, my name's Tom Sampson, and we're going to do a little bit of skew work today. Show a couple of techniques, talk about tools, and then hopefully we can set up some lathes, and a couple of us will be around to help you do some cuts. So that's kind of the plan of attack. So skew tools, talk about variety.
There you go.
All right, so skew has an angle to the cutting edge, and it has two bevels. So you can see the two bevels. This one is a radiused edge, and it's rectangular. The metal is rectangular, and you can see the bottom of the short end is rounded over to help slide on the rest, so it doesn't dig in. So rectangular. And I've drawn up on the top here, straight edge and a radius edge. We'll talk about the radius in a bit. Here is a round tool steel. Okay, and it's got the two bevels and a radius edge on it. I have two of those. That one is 3/8, I believe, and this is 1/2 inch. Right there. This is kind of the one my favorite. I use this one quite a bit. And then a little bit specialty grind. This has a little hook taken out of the edge, and that's when you're turning a tree, which I'll show in a bit here too. All right, you can see this one. This is just an old shopsmith, and I took a little bit of grinder and ease that edge off so it doesn't catch on the rest when you're doing a cut. All right, and then there's an oval, which I don't own. Does anybody happen to bring one or own an oval skew? Anybody?
I own one. I got you one, just gotta find it.
Okay. Ease of use, I guess, was, in general, people thought rectangular was maybe a little harder to use than an oval, so the oval was developed, which helped rotate that as you're making the cut, which you have the full flexibility that you're doing around. And I think perception is that you have less control with a round one, but more flexibility with the cuts. All right, here's the oval one. So you can see that both sides have been taken down, actually just more of the bottom maybe, huh? So the idea behind the ovalness is that it gives you a little bit better control as you're rotating it this way on the short edge. All right, length of the bevel, and I'll show this up here. You can see quite a bit of difference there. This is a lot more aggressive with a longer bevel, so the angle is more acute. General consensus on the internet, Alan Lacer type of things is he goes 1.5 times the thickness of the rectangular stock, which puts it around 40 degrees of the full angle. So each half is around 20. This is more than that, so this would probably be just about right at 1.5 there. So this allows you maybe a little bit more ability to reach in, and it's thinner, but it's a little more grabbier than a shorter bevel. Okay? So mine are, they're a little more, the angle, I didn't put a gauge on it, but I suspect that's a little more than 40, or a little less, I mean. Okay. Types of cuts. I'm going to start with the rectangular edge. Kind of three main types of cuts. The first one is planing, and I'm holding the tool, a little bit lower than the rest, and that curved radius kind of limits the amount of metal that's hitting the wood, so you don't have as great a chance as a catch. You always have a good chance of a catch with a skew, as you know. So planing cut, I'm just going to bring that along like this. You can kind of see if I can pull a shaving there. So I'm just pulling that like that, and it gives you a really nice clean cut. So I'll go ahead and do that. So, right hand, I can even use my hip if I want, and then I'm going to bring that higher, the long point up a little bit, and disengage the wood. And I want to keep the cutting portion about halfway or lower if I can. The higher up you get when you're planing, the better chance you have to either cut, pull you down like that. So, you can see where I'm cutting just a little bit to the right of center. There's a little bit of wobble here, and as I get that more concentric, I can pull a little better shaving.
What speed is that?
1600. That's pretty slow. I can go. But the faster you go, the more spectacular your catches are. So. but the cleaner a cut you get, right? All right, so you're looking for shavings to come off like that, and really cuts down on your. How much you got to sand. So that's pretty smooth. I will use the round one next. And same thing, it's just cut about mid with a little bit to the right of center in the direction of your cut. And I'm able to do it right or left-handed, though I find out my best cut, if I'm coming this way, is probably switching hands and going like that, as opposed to pushing or pulling, I guess. All right, so that is planing cut, fairly simple. I'm going to slide the rest up. My rest is about center height. And if you're for this next shoulder kind of cut, I'm going to do, only do a shoulder cut. If you're too high, it'll have more tendency to, almost like pull it into the wood and get a better chance of a cut. So a little bit lower, I think, is better. So the next cut I'm going to do is, it's called rotary peeling. So I'm going to push into the wood, ride the bevel, push it in, and then move it forward in an arc as I push forward. And that arc is going to allow you to keep your bevel in the wood. So you're drew it upside down here, but you're basically doing something like that as you go into the wood. So here we go. That's the rectangular one. Here's the round tool. Lifting the handle as I push it in. I get the bevel rating. I think we're done on that one. Okay. I'm just flatten this out again a little bit. And I'm just going to do this a little bit. You know, if they're too far, it's going to be wobbly. Alright, I'm going to move the light now, and we want to focus on the end here.
Too much light on it.
Is it too much?
It's like, there you go. Good, right there.
Okay, so planing cut, rotary peeling, take, stack off, get to the depth you want. This is a shoulder or pommel cut, so I'm going to take the, yeah.
On your rotary peeling, you didn't use the full width of your skew. I found that it don't work well when you use the full width.
Yeah, it would have been a lot of material removed if I would have used the full. I can try it here. You can see she's going to vibrate a lot, possibly over here. So I can do it over here where it's supported, but that's a lot of material too. So you just nibble your way down. So now I'm going to show you a shoulder cut or pommel cut. Gives you a nice clean edge on end grain. And I'm going to lead with that short or the long point. And you got to be bold here. You pick your spot and go in and do that same, follow the arc in as you go. Like that. And that'll give you just a nice clean cut on the end grain there. So not much, cleanup if you would on that. Now,
You would only do that on a spindle, right? You wouldn't do that on a bowl.
I don't really use these on bowls at all, other than I'll use them as a double scraper, clean up little corners and things. So, for example, I can use the edge of my skew here, which if you sharpen this edge, and then it'll have a sharp edge with your when you do your bevel. So I could clean something up using that edge, which I do quite a bit. So you can see I'm getting pretty good shavings there. If I had really sharpened this, I can really get a nice clean cut with that. I can do it with a round edge too. So just another use, if you happen to have it in your hand and you wanted to clean something up, does a very good job on end grain like that. Okay.
Hold up just for a second and see if Peter can get.
Can you get into where the tail stacks are? We're not looking at we can't see the edge.
Yep.
I don't know. Now he's got it. Now show us how you cleaned up that end grain.
Okay.
You were working behind it.
Yeah.
So back to, using this edge of the skew just as a scraper, I can get in there and clean something up using it as a scraper. The shoulder cut? Yep.
Yeah.
So, I'm leading with the long point, and I'm just going to make an arc and push in as I go.
Good job. Well, that works as well with a straight face
Rectangular versus round?
Well, with a straight edge. Straight edge.
Straight edge as opposed to radius?
Yeah, that has a curve on it, but if you use a straight one, could you do the same thing?
Yep. I put radiuses on all of them.
Yeah, I put that one on that.
Where's the global one? Is that radius too? Here's the round one. Anyway. And I really like, this is homemade, and it's short, so I can do a lot of stuff in here, and it's very flexible. You can just rotate around whatever you want. So I find that, for me personally, the most useful. Okay, so if you're out there and you want to practice some things, here are, making beads. So if you want to look at those, pass them around. Do that. And I haven't done this in a while, but I just did those two recently, and I wasn't really trying to make it perfect, but just see if I could, make a row of beads without getting a catch, which is a challenge. All right, I'm going to use the round one, and this is if you just want to, like Ron says, when I do the first thing in the morning, I can slap a spindle on there and mark it out with the lead point. Like this.
Move the light down a little.
You did this before the car
How's that?
That's good, great.
Good? I'm going to move the rest now.
If you're not careful, you can get your calisthenics in like that.
I didn't hear that, so all right, so I marked out some beads, and now we're going to make V-cuts in to get somewhere that we can roll our shoulder into to make the bead. So I start with one, let's see, how's that? Okay, so I'm going to push in on my cut, and I go and jump over to the other side, and just keep widening there. So I'm making that shoulder cut basically, pulling the handle up, pushing in and a little bit from her. And then I just jump back and forth. Like that, and jump to the next one. Well, this is fairly safe, so starting out practicing, this is a good thing to do. And try and get them all in the same depth. They'll look kind of neat when you're done. I'm just going to stop over this one. Okay, so there's several ways we can go about this. We can use the long point, okay, and push in and bring it around. That's the safest way of doing it. I'll show you that first. So maybe a little bit lower than center. I'm just going to come in until the bevel starts to ride, and then bring around. It doesn't, it's hard to get a nice flowing motion with that, but you can get her done. And then the other way is to do the short end and then roll it over like this. And that's a little trickier to do and more prone to catching. And I'm going to start, where I'm just kind of down there near the short end and then roll it over and push it in, just like that. And I can do both sides like that. So with that radius, I'm a little less susceptible to catching. With that, the straight edge, that point likes to dig in a lot, and it's hard to get a nice flowing, smooth cut, in my opinion. I'll have a planned catch in here pretty soon, so just wait for it. If you get comfortable at it, you can just get it right the first time. But if you don't get it right the first time, it's hard to find that edge, to get back to the curve.
You stay midway to the bottom, you're okay, you get close to the top. The top of the roof? The top of that point. Point. You keep the center to the bottom of the skew,
All right, I didn't hear you.
No, and say with the radius you have on there, if you're cutting from the center to the bottom of the skew, it's a lot safer than cutting on the top end, where that point can catch in.
Right, with the long.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, it's a lot safer to do this.
Yes.
it's a lot harder to get a catch doing that. So when you're starting out, I would do that. As you get more comfortable, try that short edge up, which to me gives you a better cut,
Yeah.
and a cleaner cut. All right, any questions on that?
Are you using a hollow grind, flat grind, or radius grind?
Grind, you're right. Well, the top edge is radiused. Okay.
I mean down the side.
Yep, and on the bevel, these are all hollow ground, though I think you'd be better off doing a flat grind. It's just easier to get it hollow.
The guy started out, he was
in the video, I don't have anything.
a lot more forgiving.
A flat grind would be more
You're gonna have
forgiving.
a convex radius.
Yeah, you can even do convex, which would be even more forgiving. Yeah,
The
so,
only place that would give you a problem is if you get into a really deep, narrow groove.
right. And if you have the radius, or a concave grind a little bit, then you can even do coves very nice,
Right next to it, yeah.
Yeah, right next to it. It'd be hard to do, I'll try it, but, you can do coves with these, believe it or not. If you're watching me a little bit earlier, I was doing it with those. So, I'm cutting from high to low, right, so the grain isn't peeling up on me. Once I get to the low spot, if I start coming back up, I would encounter grain that wants to pick up. So if I come down from each side, that's less chance of that happening. So this is box elder, by the way. Side is not quite. Once you get one catch, then it just, you gotta get it out of there, and just once you keep catching it. Alright. See how that did. So, that's a pretty clean coat, maybe a little bit of pull up there at the bottom. Usually done anyway in the skew.
Tom,
Yep,
there's one with a convex grind if you want to demonstrate that.
sure.
Mostly fairly sharp.
So there's a straight edge, it's not radiused, and the bevel is convex a little bit. It's hard to keep that, I used to have that grain, and it's hard to keep it sharp because your tendency is to roll it over when you're sharpening it.
Use that.
But it's,
Use the outside one sharp.
there you go. Well, I have the new CBN though, and I really had a lot of fun putting a radius on this baby. I just got a little carried away. Very nice. For those of you who bought the CBN, I'm not going to plug in, but I really enjoyed it. It's really nice.
What grit did you get?
The 220, which was surprisingly aggressive. I mean, not to the point where I didn't like the finish, but it removed a lot of material fast. And, I was almost surprised, like, oh my, I went past where I wanted to, So it is a very efficient tool, it's not aggressive. All right, let's see if I can use this. I'm just going to start it in. Yeah, this cut's nice. So a lot less forgiving or more forgiving. It's not going to catch, so I can slowly make a nice shoulder on that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that convex like the name, and in my opinion, the radius curve too, depending on what you want to do. So that's it, kind of on different cuts, and you can just apply that to whatever you're making. Nice catch, Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play around now with,
Baseball bat.
okay, here's a little specialty item. These are trees with the, you know, leaves, if you will, curled up. So I'll pass those around. One out there. All right, you can keep those if you want. We've got to retool here a little bit.
Pretty cute.
While you're doing that, I just got pulled aside. Anybody who's interested, there's 2 or 3 burls in one of the shops over here. After we get through, he doesn't know how to price the things, so
We'll help.
$5.
selling.
Yeah, we'll help him.
Did anybody hear me? You can't hear me, okay. Talking to Mike, is this the geek group? Need a mic? The echo in here. Anyhow, he's got some burls in the shop over here. He doesn't have any idea how to price the things. So, I'll try not to scream in it. So what I suggested, we'll put a couple of pads of paper there, and you could write down what you think it might be. You might be willing to pay to buy a burl. This guy harvests trees, and he's got one great big black oak burl.
Excuse me, Tom, I got
I'd like to know, if anybody's interested in what you might pay, because I asked him, well, so how much do you want it for? He says, so, I'll just, if we get off, well, then that's a possibility. Yep. So, anyhow, he doesn't want to sell them, he doesn't sell them today because he's not here yet to run out somewhere, but anyhow, just stop down, just go through that way towards, past the steps and hook a left. And we're all done.
All right, so this is some wood I got from some equipment that came from Germany, and it makes really nice trees. I don't know what it is. It's probably like plane or something like that, but it was just pallet wood, and I said, "Oh, I'll chuck that up." And it's kind of brittle, but makes nice leaves. So here is a modified rectangular skew. It's got a little bit of a notch in the end, and I'll show that in a bit. That's to curl up those shavings as I make them. I got to get down to the tree shape first. So I chuck this into a chuck so I can take the tailstock off here in a second. I'm just going to bring her down to shape.
Planning that, right?
That was my planned catch. All right, we're still okay.
Yeah, do it again.
All right, I'm going a little slower. I don't know what rest is there. I usually don't rough down on a skew. And this tree rest is a little farther away than I like. And I'm going to define the bottom of the tree. But you see, I can get in there and rotate this round one over pretty easily. So this is going to be the base of the stump, and then I'll have some type of pot, if you will, and then I'll go down. At least a lot of wood here. This one there. So, see the tree developing there. Rotary peeling. Here was the planing cut. And I could put a ball maybe on the end. So using that lead point, I'm doing kind of that bead rolling, like that. Let's see if I got rid of my ketchup. A little bit left. So I'm just going to clean this face up, make it a nice flowing curve down to the top of the tree. And now I can bring the trunk down a little bit. All right, now I can use one of those shoulder cuts and clean up the bottom here. So the bottom of the tree. Like that. And I'm just going to round my base over with a kind of a, half a bead. And then I can actually come in and start finishing the bottom up a little bit here. Shoulder cut. So that's pretty well roughed out. So grabbing that tool, and you can do this with, you can do it with any of them really, but that little bend helps roll the curl over. So I'm gonna start about right here. And hopefully I can get it one picked up and then roll it over like that. If I have the tool over here, it'll actually bend it over. So I gotta find the right angle. I'll just lay them up there one by one. This thing's really brittle. It's hard to start just right out, you know, put me in cold coach. It's, you know, once you've done these and get that perfect spot, then you can just boop, 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 boop. But the first one you do is probably going to be a little rough. See how I did? It's a pretty wild one. Yeah, maybe a little sandpaper with rustic, right? Rustic. Okay, so I can just clean this up. And I could use my skews a little, if I'm a little hesitant to get in there again, I can just double-edged negative rake scraper, or take the edge right here, clean it up. And then I'm gonna use my smaller one to bring that down a little bit more. And one last shoulder cut. Number 2. All right, then I just bring this down. Actually, I'm gonna should have probably did this a little earlier. See whatever, I'm gonna break it off. So. All right, I'm just gonna nibble it down here. Sand down right now, and move it in the screw. Okay, so now I can just turn it off. It's coming. Where can I pick that up a little bit? Yeah, that was the problem. That's why it's caught.
Yeah.
Okay, unsupported, you gotta be a little careful here. Parting tool would be a better choice. Okay, I want to leave enough I can get a one last shoulder cut. Hopefully. Maybe too late. If you maybe a little bit concave, it'll hopefully sit flat on the table. There. That'll work.
Hey, Tom,
Yeah?
the difference in widths of the skew, is there any pros or cons to, they go from anywhere from 1/2 inch up to 1.5 inches? Any pros and cons on an overall width? Thickness plays a part with helping vibration, I understand, but as far as the width goes?
You know, I I can't say for sure in the bigger ones, but I think you're right. The more mass, the less vibration, the more control you're gonna have. I've never used anything bigger than that, so.
Okay.
I would think for the guys starting out, the half-inch width would be a little easier for them to handle.
Yeah, it might be a little imposing to have a, you know, 1.5 inch wide pool with a, you know,
Right.
1.5 inch grinder, you know.
They're gonna be able to get into places a lot easier with that narrow width tool.
Okay.
Smaller is better for penny work.
Mean something like this?
Yeah, make it
I
Christmas
understand,
tree.
but I didn't really know, I just thought, you know, 40 bucks, I mean,
Let me try that. Let's find my handle here. Here. All right, let me.
I don't know, I just really want
Hey, Tom,
Here you go.
Tom, tell them how long you've been turning.
I've been
Since
turning
Thursday.
since I was 7 years old, I believe.
How old are you
My
now?
grandma's
Exactly.
51.
So that gives you an indication of why the quality of cut is as good as it is.
So you appreciated my quality of cut, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, for somebody that's been turning like me for 6 years or 7 years, it's hard to duplicate some of those cuts without a tremendous amount of practice.
Yeah.
And this is probably the toughest tool to practice with.
Right, and my point was hopefully that there's 3 basic cuts, you know, put up a piece of wood like that and just practice on it. And you'd be amazed at how fast you can pick it up.
After several catches, you catch on.
Well, you know, I was careless and I dragged my tool and it's just like that, you know.
Maybe we ought to make a glossary of tools and the cuts available with them. I tried to do this for the kids in high school with the bowl gouge, show them the 4 cuts. But now you've got, with the skew, you've got 3 main cuts, right? Which is nice to know.
I would say there's basically 3 main cuts and the way you apply them changes a little bit, but you're basically doing a planing cut, you're removing stack and a peeling cut, or you're making some type of shape with a shoulder, you know, lead point cut. Yep. Right on. This is massive, this is awesome.
Be a toothpick in minutes.
I thought I could use for a fry bar.
All right, so you see the difference in sharpness, right? So I'm not getting shavings as much. It's not as sharp, so you could see that probably. You can see that point is pretty much comes around flat or 90 degrees to the edge. And I can still do cuts. And I know that's how Raffin and Lasser have their grinds, is that, you know, that lead point comes in at 90 degrees, or even, so I bend over a little bit, so, you know, that's not a hindrance to making a V-cut. As you can see, I can, no problem making a V-cut. Yeah, this has got more mass, feels more stable. Let's try round over. You know, not bad. Felt pretty good. Jumping around a little bit. Here's a peeling cut. And here's the shoulder cut. No problem there, so, yeah, it feels very stable. I gotta stand, you know, I'm way back here now. Alright, so, to me, it's like, I can't see that far. So maybe, you know, maybe something like this choked up. You know, I'm used to cutting, excuse me, you know, that's my style, it's just how I've developed. I you know, I move this in front of me, but you can adjust and.
Anybody wants to have a hand in here, we're gonna have one lathe here, one over there. I do another lathe if I can get, how many people, we see how many people would
Yeah,
go ahead and try it. Because George sounds like he could be a mentor too if you get to.
Mr. Brown there, right? He's a Skew man.
Yeah, and we have, Jerry back there too, said he'd help out, so. We're gonna set up a lathe here, we'll have this one already set up, so if you wanna try a hand on it, go ahead and get in line.
Okay.